nerve-wracking being the last presentation of the day and following like all these PhDs. My presentation is going to be a little bit more light and personal. I'm here to talk about actually participating in research. I think what would help ground why I chose to participate is I was diagnosed at 16, and around 30, I was like, okay, well, this disease is getting worse. What can I do about it? And I started physical therapy, and being a type A person, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to help myself get better or myself live with this disease. And I know there was a question earlier about like, how do I get into a study? And do I join this registry? Well, the fact is you have to be your own advocate. I look every couple weeks to see if there's any new studies on clinicaltrials.gov. I am Dr. Shea's favorite patient, and I like to just really put it out there. Hey, are you doing any studies? I nag my whole family to do studies. So if you're interested in doing studies, advocate for yourself every day. Think about like, where can I find studies? Read The Advocate, or the Quest magazine from MDA also has information. But to start my little deck. So I knew very little about clinical studies. I was a communications major in college, so we did not learn this. I only knew about what pop culture teaches you, and this is from Grey's Anatomy. That's McDreamy. He ran an Alzheimer's study in the show, and I thought, okay, I'm going to participate in a study. That means I'm going to get early access to a medicine, and I'm going to get better, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be so easy and wonderful, and that's just how it's going to be. And, recent news leads you to believe that pop culture is right. Like, there's such incredible science happening. We've learned about all the incredible science happening here in the FSHD community, but I don't know if you guys followed the sickle cell gene therapies, but it's incredible, the science. So the idea like, oh, I'm going to be in a clinical trial, I'm going to get early access to a drug, everything's great, I'm going to run a marathon next year, it's not that far off, right? But in reality, that's not exactly how it goes. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about what it's like to actually participate in research. That's my husband in the photo. He's not here, he's taking care of our 5-month-old baby. No, I don't have any baby pictures, not in the deck. Okay, so what it's actually like in the study, it's not like Grey's Anatomy, sorry. There's no McDreamy, or it's not as dramatic, but it is really long days, really long days. I know Jennifer will say, oh, it's 2 hours that we need you. You count of 4 or 5, and it's not a slight or anything, but they're long days when you factor in travel, getting to and from all the buildings, etc. So it's a long day. And it's a really close look at your progression. Like, you're doing physical things that are like, well, does this muscle work? Does that muscle work? Can I walk this far? Can I walk a straight line? Like, things like that. So it's really like, okay, where am I in this disease? And some of those things, like that 6-minute walk test, are difficult. This is a physically challenging disease. So doing some of the exercises are difficult. There's I don't know the name of the machine, but my sister calls it like the torture chamber machine. It's not, I don't think of it that way, but some of the day afterwards, you're sore. And I think that I want to be realistic with all of you guys, because you guys all got really pumped up about participating, which is great. That makes me so happy, but I want to be realistic and set your expectations that it might be a hard day. It's also like a mental game. They talked about the surveys. Those surveys are a mind fuck. They ask you like really tough questions that you think about all the time living with this disease. Like, can you lift a baby? Or can you lift, some of the questions are ridiculous. Like, can you dig a 6-foot hole or something? Like, you're digging your own grave, or they're bizarre. But those questions are really hard to get through, and scale to grade yourself on that scale is very emotionally difficult. And I just want to prepare you for when you open that packet of like, it feels like 1,000 questions, that, okay, getting through this is not just A, B, or C. There's emotions behind that you have to work through and be mentally prepared to do, often with the audience of a coordinator or your loved one with you. And it's also really hard to keep your expectations low. I've enrolled in, this will be my 4th study, maybe 5th, depending on where you score it. And if you are doing a study for a pharmaceutical company, you're hoping for the best. You're hoping that you're getting the drug, you're not getting the placebo. You're hoping that it's working, but you have to look at the statistics. The statistics are 40% you might not get the medicine, and chances are the drug might fail in clinical trial. And it's very difficult to not be so hopeful and not to notice the slightest improvement as, oh my goodness, it's working. This is exactly what Grey's Anatomy told it would be. Okay, but you have the shift perspective. So just like Wonder Woman, who carried that weight of being Wonder Woman on Earth, she had this gift, and we all have a gift that we have FSHD. And I know thinking about it as a gift is really hard, especially after I was complaining about those terrible surveys. But there's a lot of ways that each of us can change the world. And you can do it through work, you can volunteer for a political campaign, you can volunteer in a soup kitchen, you can become a social worker. There's a lot of ways to help people, but we are very uniquely suited to help cure muscular dystrophy or FSHD muscular dystrophy. Literally my DNA says I can volunteer to be someone that changes the course of this disease for generations to come. So I feel like I'm called to service. I was never in the military. It's a little difficult if you have muscular dystrophy, but I feel like it's my service to people. So those super long days, I think of it instead of being oh, I've been here since 9 and I woke up at 8 and whatever. I think of it, I'm donating my time today. I'm donating my time to cure FSHD. And it might not feel that way when you're in UCLA wearing a mask, or when I went last December, 2 masks and a face shield, but that's what you're doing. And when you're looking at your progression and you're feeling maybe sorry for yourself that walking that 6-minute walk test is harder this year than it was last year, what you're actually doing is you're aiding a deeper understanding of FSHD. So my hardship walking that 6 minutes is helping all the researchers in this room learn okay, this is how this disease is progressing for this person, maybe other people, and that's giving the data set that they clearly desperately need. So it's physically challenging, as I mentioned, but like Wonder Woman, not all of her battles were easy peasy. Sometimes you have to tough it out and have a hard day. And it's a great reason to be sore the next day for curing FSH. You could be sore from doing stupid stuff, which I do all the time. Or you could be sore from volunteering in a clinical trial that cures this disease that we all clearly won't cure. And so also the mental game, I think that, I'm not saying I'm on the other side of thinking that those surveys or living with FSHD is easy. I'm not. I get sad about it all the time. But when I'm looking at those surveys, I also think about how strong I am and how, it is hard, but we can overcome it. And, also when you're thinking about those surveys, I think about well, how much of it that is just internalized ableism? We live in a culture where being a disabled person is less than. And I know that we all want to cure, and that's important, but a lot of the bad things that we feel about ourselves is just inherent not liking disabled people. So those surveys tough, but I look at it as, okay, I'm super strong. I'm going to answer this survey and I'm going to get through it. And the difficulty keeping your expectations low, I'm probably the worst at this, but I also think even if the study fails, which I've been in a study that it didn't work out, people learn from it. So it wasn't 100% a failure. It wasn't a waste of my time. It wasn't a waste of anyone's time because there was learnings from it. So it's not a failure. Okay, so these are my survival tips for doing a study. So bring a loved one. I like to bring my husband, but my moms come with me, my sisters come with me. I think it makes a really big difference to have someone to like crack jokes with and just chat with and be on a little adventure with at UCLA. You have to set low expectations for the day and kind of prepare for Murphy's Law. So one of the first study I was in, I just started using my wheelchair, and I didn't charge it every night. It usually kept it in my car at that time, and I didn't charge it before I came to UCLA. And I was going in between buildings and it died. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And it was at the end of the day, and I ended up being close enough to the parking garage to walk and get my car, and then I drove my car and I got it, and it was all fine, but it was like, prepare for the unexpected. So just if you think you need a change of clothes, pack a change of clothes. If you think that you might get some bad news in your work email, don't check your work email. Like, you're in a bubble of volunteering, just try to like prepare for that. Fully charge all your devices, wheelchair, iPad, laptop, cell phone. Like, you will have downtime, so like make sure you have some entertainment. I like to mindlessly scroll Twitter, Instagram, maybe you read a book, whatever you do, but bring something to entertain yourself. Pack a ton of snacks. I find like the snack game is like part of like the fun. So I pack like really decadent snacks that I usually wouldn't have at home. Like, I really like enjoy the packing of the snacks to make it like fun. Oh, I'm going to eat chocolate covered pretzels now, or it's just adding a little bit of flair to the day. I find the 6-minute walk test very difficult. So Christy, the PT at UCLA, I asked her if I could wear headphones, and she said yes. So I make like an inspirational playlist, and I listen to like Lizzo really loud in my earbuds, and I get through the walk test, and that makes it a lot easier for me. So I suggest bring headphones and treat yourself afterwards. So after the clinical trial day, I always go to like a favorite restaurant, or I buy something on Amazon that I've been wanting, or I just do something nice for myself, that I did something nice for the community, and obviously myself too, if there's a cure. But I just think that the treat yourself is like a very important reward to volunteering.